Upadhyay Sahab, our past national president. Welcome, Sirji. Yes, Gurvinder, can we start? Mr. Le Piquet, welcome, sir.
Good morning on this beautiful Sunday. We welcome you for the ISTD IFTDO outreach number 8. For further proceedings, I hand over to our outreach coordinator, to Ms. Nivedita Mirajkar, a well-known trainer, charismatic person from Mangalore, southern part of India. Over to you, ma'am.
I also welcome Dr. Helmi. Welcome, sir. Nice to have you joining us.
Unmute yourself, Nivedita.
Good morning, everybody. This is from the western coast, a rain-drenched coast of India, and a good morning and a welcome to all attending over here from all over the globe. It's a fantastic morning to start our 8th outreach program. ISTD has been conducting these outreach programs for the last many months, and today it is more special because we are in association with IFTDO. And because ISTD and IFTDO are just like twins, it's a bigger pleasure for me to not just welcome our own members of ISTD across the country and globe, but also the members of IFTDO who have made it a point to attend today. A warm welcome to both the association's members. I hand over the proceedings to our national president, Atul Shah. Atul is not only a fantastic training architect, but he is an even more fantastic human being. Atul, over to you.
Thank you, Nivedita madam. The enigmatic and awe-inspiring Professor Vinayshil Gautam, the respected board member of IFTDO and President Emeritus of ISTD. Our role model leader par excellence, Madam Patti, coming to us at 1 a.m. in the night from the US. IFTDO global members, right from Lebanon, Madam Wafa, to Dr. Helmi, and several others who have joined us today. Our dignified National Council members, our exemplary past national presidents, our gung-ho chairpersons, our members from across our 50 chapters, plus the 2 new ones, Patna and Imphal, mentors, friends. Today's flavor is leadership. So I just speak about 3 interesting quotes. None of mine, but what I have gathered down these years, you must have heard them. First is of Jack Welch. I do not know the formula for success. I do not know the formula for success. But keeping everyone happy is a sure formula for failure. Another one I heard years ago during my engineering days, a quote from Kaufman. I think I quoted it once here. Caesar was a great Roman emperor who lost. Nelson was a great British sailor who sank many times. So his 18 lines go like this. How many times did Caesar flunk? How many times was Nelson sunk? When they got licked, did they get drunk? Did they retire in a bunk and end their days as useless junk? The mightiest have known defeat. The strongest oftentimes retreat. The time when man is put to test is when he is the hardest pressed. Lie low a while and take rest. Come back and do your very best. Pick up your nerves, swell your chest, and treat every problem as a jest. The game has only just begun. There will be another challenge after this one and another one after that. Another very interesting one is of Rudyard Kipling's 32 lines, If, which we all have heard. But Rudyard Kipling lived in India for several years, and many of his quotes can be linked to India and Indian philosophy. His 32 lines, I just take few of the lines. If you can keep your head when all around you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their outing too. If you can meet, and these are the lines that are outside Wimbledon's tennis court, if you can meet with both triumph, victory, and disaster, and treat both imposters just the same, if you can walk with the crowds and keep your virtue, or talk to the kings and not lose your common touch, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it at one turn of pitch and toss, and you lose, and start at the beginning and never breathe even a word about your loss. I read those leadership lessons in my early days, but they have been the foundation on which many of us have lived. But to strengthen the foundation today, we have somebody who's been guiding us for several years. We are privileged to have the presence, the enigmatic presence of Dr. Vinayshil Gautam, the gracious presence of Madam Patti, and everybody from across the globe and India. It fills us with joy unspeakable and pleasure undiluted to be sharing this moment with you all. Let's learn to share and share to learn. Over to you, Madam Nitita.
Thank you, Atul, for setting the ball rolling for this wonderful session with Dr. Vinayshil Gautam. I now request Dr. Patti Phillips to please address us. She is the chairperson of IFTDO and is known for her sterling leadership. She heads the ROI Institute, which is recognized globally. She has been a good friend of ISTD and has also been kind enough to inaugurate the 92nd TLND batch of ISTD. I hand over to you, Madam Dr. Patti Phillips, for the next few minutes.
Thank you so much. And thank all of you, ISTD, and all my colleagues with IFTDO for this amazing session. And I'm just a huge fan of our speaker tonight, Dr. Gautam, as I know many of you are. You know, true leader, leader, thought partner in all that we do. And I just have to say, President Atul, thank you for inviting me. Every time I join you, I am inspired. When we think about leadership, in so many cases, people say, you know, how do you demonstrate the value of leadership? And inherently, we know that leadership is important. But as Wafa can share in the work that we do at ROI Institute, we know that investing in leadership, in the right leadership at the right time, can deliver great rewards for organizations and individuals and communities. We have seen returns as much as 400% return on investment in leadership, because it's the consequence of that leadership that is really the value that we have. Leadership exists in all of us. We are all leaders in our own right. Different situations need different types of leaders, but that doesn't mean that a single person can't exude or demonstrate that type of leadership required at that time. It doesn't matter whether you are leading a team, leading a project, leading an organization. Leadership is important. And that's why I just appreciate being here so much tonight to talk about this topic, and again, to hear from Dr. Gautam. Thank you again. It's just an amazing group. We all are from all over the world. Just reading the chat, we have people all throughout India. We have Lebanon, we have Egypt, we have Australia, and we have Birmingham, Alabama in the US. So you have truly tapped into something that's important to us globally. We at IFTDO, on behalf of the board, appreciate the partnership with ISTD and the leadership that all of you show when it comes to developing the human resources that our world, or communities, our businesses all need so much. So thank you again for having me. Thank you again for having all of us, and for this amazing evening. And so I really look forward, Dr. Gautam, to hearing what you have to say as well. So Atul, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you, Dr.
Patti. It's
Patti.
1:30 a.m. in the night, but her undiluted commitment to IFTDO and to learning and development make sure that she never misses a session. Thank you very much, Patti.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for pointing out that all of us who are practicing management and any thought of management, we are standing on the shoulders of all these giants who have given us the theory and the direction and the inspiration to do better. One such giant on whose shoulders we are so comfortably standing today is Dr. Vinayshil Gautam. He is widely recognized as a legend in the field of management thinking and practice, and as a mentor whose influence extends across academia, consulting, governance, and international platforms. He is the President Emeritus of ISTD and a board member of the International Federation of Training and Development Organizations, that is IFTDO. A trailblazer in management education, he is the founder director of IIM Kozhikode, learner leader at the consulting team of IIM Shillong, and the first head of the first statutory management department at IIT Delhi. His leadership has also spanned corporate advisory roles, including senior advisor to KPMG, senior managing director and principal economic advisor at Property India, and senior advisor to TriFed, where he helped shape new pathways in tribal development. Dr. Gautam has advised government ministries, agencies, and corporations in matters of policy, strategy, and leadership. Internationally, he has taught or lectured at Cambridge, London, Toronto, York, Duke, and many, many more prestigious universities. He continues to lead as chairman of the DK International Foundation and has previously chaired the task force for the Golden Jubilee of IFTDO. Honored with numerous lifetime achievement awards, his contributions span management, sociology, anthropology, and energy studies. Above all, Dr. Gautam's pioneering work in organizational and human resource development continues to inspire generations of professionals in India and abroad. Over to you, Dr. Gautam, so that we can listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nivedita. I have a sense of overwhelming humility to find people like Les Pickett, Helmi, Patty, and several of you in the audience, because ultimately it is the peer level affection and recognition which matters. It is not customary to respond to the generous introductions which usually precede such remarks, but then the food is best tested in the eating, and I'd like to get on with the task because I see it as one more input to my own growth and one more occasion to test my ideas and generate it across a global audience, which will help me to get on with my next piece of writing, because I survive not just on speaking, but also writing, because that gives you a wider audience. Thank you all for being here. I'm reminded of a quote from the legendary poet of Indian tradition, Tulsidas, which says, "Dhara ko praman yahi tulsi, je phara se jhara, je bara se butani." It is written in a local Indian dialect, and translated it means, Mother Earth is the evidence and the testimony to the fact that that which was enlightened, that what was brought to light, did one day fade, and that which came one day passed. Therefore, my first submission to you, leadership is a passing phenomena. We often confuse our temporary preeminence with eternal range of impact. That is rarely true, because many people have stalked this planet, and not many are remembered either in the pages of history or in the pages of sociology, having studied both these subjects In a scholastic mode for my own degrees, I can tell you that I can't even recount 50 names across the globe which will be remembered eternally while they thought they were eternal while they were in power. Therefore, the first submission I have to make is please recognize that leadership is a passing phenomena. You are supposed to lead on the spot, on the situation, in the context in which your colleagues have accepted you as a leader and you have something to say. Usually, leadership is mistaken for preeminence. It is not. I have had an occasion to serve as the kingpin in many situations. And in each situation, whether it was setting up of the management department for the first time ever in the world's best recognized institutions of management, of aspiring management, but from a different genre, that is technology. I noticed that I was learning more management from my technology colleagues than I did from my colleagues in the management area itself. Therefore, there is always a scope for cross-pollination and learning from each other. And that, I think, is the root of leadership. So long as you are in a learning mode, you are leading. If you are not in a learning mode and you believe you have become a leader, your decline has already begun. Hence, modesty, and genuine one at that, not for presentations, not for making an impact, but an ability to learn is what makes, to my mind, a leader in its true sense. What is it that I have learned from my study of history, sociology, anthropology, technology, systems analysis, and the domains that I have circulated through? There is always a cross-pollination, and I have stated that point clearly enough. And for paucity of time, I would like to move on to certain other areas, recalling people who have written on management, written on leadership, not only in Sanskrit, not only in English, not only in Latin, but elsewhere, in different areas. And one thing they all agree on, and they agree on the transience and collective nature of leadership. The transience bit has already been elaborated. The collective leadership of management requires you need others to be a leader. If you think you can manage on your own, that is the biggest challenge to your own leadership. Having said that, Shakespeare has written on leadership, Kalidas has written on leadership, and I quote two statements, one from a classical play of Shakespeare, where Richard II, in the middle of a battle with the French, is known to have articulated the famous statements, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. And I remember asking Father Robleski, my teacher in senior Cambridge, how does a kingdom depend upon a horse? And his answer was, son, you will realize how a kingdom depends on a horse when you know that it is the nail in the shoe of a horse which makes the horse run. I was naive enough to look for the trappings of a horse, and I discovered that indeed a horse runs on the nail of a horseshoe, without which it cannot go into battle. That's how significant the humblest is to the leadership of the tallest. I say this not in facetious attempt at modesty, but this is what I learned from Les, whom I am seeing after several years of absence, but who was responsible for a lot of work which I did in IFTDO in the 90s, when he used to be one of the pioneers, as he still is, of the area. As I see at C. Helmi, who worked with me not only in IFTDO but in other organizations, and how he has been able to weave together a team. I witnessed Patti in operation. We don't always agree, but our disagreement always is respectful enough for at least me to go back and reflect upon where else I could enrich by her thought, and I always find plenty of it. The long and short of it is, leadership is when your peer level people accept you as a leader because you have something to bring onto the table, not just on thought, but also on delivery. Thought leadership is perhaps a well-tested, rightfully acknowledged area of leadership where everyone needs to begin. But to convert that thought into action requires resources, requires people to come together in a team. And this is not just a management slogan. I don't know how many of you have had occasion to go through Kalidas's Abhigyan Shakuntal, which is a classic in Sanskrit, celebrated much across the world. And I remember on a visit to Moscow, those were the days of high Soviet impact when I was teaching in Sussex, and I'm talking of early 70s. And I was taken to the Bolshoi Theatre to see a version of Abhigyan Shakuntal. And the lady who played Abhigyan Shakuntal walked up to me after the dramatized presentation and asked me, "Dr. Gautam, you are from India?" I said, "Yes." Do I look like Shakuntala? And now that was a question which I'm still trying to answer, because if you read Abhigyan Shakuntal, the classical story written by Kalidas in a dramatized form, Shakuntala's beauty permeates the entire text, but nowhere do you find a description from Kalidas on how beautiful her eyes were. Were they like lotus or were they like flowers? How lovely her lips were they roseate in color? How deep colored they were? What was the prominence of her cheek, etc., etc. None of this description of a female beauty. But you feel her beauty as you read Kalidas. The way she talks and expresses herself, the way she expresses her emotions, the way she sulks and takes the ups and downs of life. There is an elegance of authorship which can be appreciated only if you read Kalidas in Sanskrit. If you don't know Sanskrit, get a good translation of Abhigyan Shakuntal. You will see why I found it so difficult to respond to this lady's question, do I look like Shakuntala? And my answer was, yes, you do. Because to me, you look beautiful. I never saw Shakuntala, but seeing you, I can imagine what Shakuntala looked like. I received one of the fondest hugs in my life, which I still treasure, because she was in effect saying that her acting had achieved the success which she had aimed for. Therefore, please understand, leadership is a statement of attributes which is felt, never imposed. We have in this audience exceptional people with exceptional ability, with exceptional achievements. But one thing which I find common in all of them is the sheer modesty with which they have survived the turmoil of years, the years of turmoil, and how they have put up with the ups and downs, something which was referred to in passing by the opening remarks of not just Atul but Patti, not just Patti but also from Nivedita, and whoever else speaks on leadership recognizes that it is an elusive concept, only to be felt, only to be exercised with caution, modesty, and humility, and never with emphasis and force. But let me hasten to draw my horns in. There are times in leadership situations where you do need to assert yourself. I'm reminded of a story which I love to narrate about St. Stephen's College, which is a legendary college in the Indian educational system, over 100 years old, known to have produced some of the most outstanding alumni this country has had. In fact, even a Prime Minister of Pakistan never failed to mention that he was educated in St. Stephen's College, Delhi. And the episode which comes to my mind is a time when it was set up by Christian missionaries. Andrews was one of them. And there was a big discussion over the location of St. Stephen's College, which was then in Kashmiri Gate. Those of you who don't know of Delhi will not be able to understand Kashmiri Gate. But Delhi is a city which has got entries to all over the country because it was the capital of India, as still is, over 1,000 years. But the access to Delhi was through road, not through air, as it is also accessed now. And therefore, each state from where the road led to that state was named after that state. So St. Stephen's College was located in Kashmiri Gate, where the road to Kashmir opened. And there were educational institutions. And the present campus, which is the university campus of Delhi, was coming up. And this was in the 30s, and they were invited to move to the campus, but you can't force educational institutions to shift campus. So each one was invited to exercise a choice between continuing at the Kashmiri Gate or going to the present campus where the Delhi University is located. And there was an uproar amongst the faculty saying that St. Stephen's College is known for its location in Kashmiri Gate, and it shall not move to the new campus. C.F. Andrews listened to all this patiently. I'm told it went on for 2 days. And then he said he was taking a sabbatical for a week. And he went away to Mussoorie. What he did at Mussoorie, one doesn't know. But before leaving, he got a carte blanche from the colleagues in St. Stephen's College that he will take the final decision. And when he comes back from Mussoorie, he will announce where the college will be located, and it will be acceptable to all the colleagues. And they all agreed to it. So Andrews went to Mussoorie, came back to Kashmiri Gate, collected the colleagues, and announced St. Stephen's is moving to the new campus where Delhi University will be located. And such was the sense of colleagueship. Everyone agreed. Nobody was sitting on a protest. Nobody had anything to say. If C.F. Andrews said something, it was to hold. That is leadership. And time is a testimony that last 90 years of history of St. Stephen's College have testified how moving to the new campus was the making of the new St. Stephen's College, which was reincarnated with that shift, and how it had stuck to the Kashmiri Gate. It would be today encircled by bus depots from which the interstate buses depart. That is leadership. Leadership is a vision. Leadership is an ability to gain people's confidence. Leadership is an ability to live at peace with your spouse because she stoops to conquer. My borrowing a title from a British classic may be forgiven, because that's how Virginia Woolf talked of what the feminine charm is about. They all stoop to conquer. They don't always hold a sword, and they don't always ride a horse, though I have nothing against anyone riding a horse or holding a sword. All these attributes are needed once in a while. But the judgment to know which attribute to use when and what charm to succumb to when is, to my mind, the classical definition of leadership. We have had chairs of leadership in universities, generously endowed. But the full answer to what is leadership is still unclear. Bibliographies have been produced on literature and leadership. Literature surveys have been there to analyze how leadership is supported, references to literature, references to poetry, references to drama, all shows that it is like all truths, one which has vision, one which has long-range perspective, but is never put down by boundary conditions. I have had a career as a speaker going into several decades, and there are a few things that I have learned, and one of them is the optimal time for attention to listening to a spoken word is about 20 to 25 minutes. I have just completed about 22 minutes, and I know the memory starts to dim, and I don't want you to leave this get-together with an overwhelming feeling of surfeiting, but taking away at least 2 to 3 ideas. And my profession tells me, pause here, invite a discussion for clarification, amplification, and contribution, because between 20 to 25 minutes is the optimal time for reaction. And if there are any remarks, questions, propositions, I'll pause for it and I'll pick up the threads again after that phase is over. Over to the audience, distinguished as it is, to contribute, to take forward what I have said and seek any clarifications if they want me to speak on anything for better communication.
A couple of questions now before Dr. Gautam continues. If there's anybody who would like to question on what Dr. Gautam has shared so far.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Professor Rudra.
Sir, yeah. So it is a great morning to everyone. Thank you very much for being a part of this event. So it is not a question I want to clarify from sir regarding this, because sir rightly said there is a leader in us. So in what aspect we have to conceptualize and prioritize to believe that we are a leader? I also believe that there is a leader in everyone who, take insights to take a leap and to contribute in different walks of life. Over to sir.
Well, I'm not quite sure whether I get all the levels of that question, which...
But maybe 1 or 2 levels, sir. Maybe you can share from your school of thoughts and wide experience.
Leadership is always in an area of our talent. Leadership is always in the area where we have felt life and we have interacted with life. For example, decades ago, fashionable as it was then for people of my age to go into the civil services examination, I took the civil services examination. I cleared the civil services examination. I chose to continue as a teacher, which was a relatively lower ranked profession. Not because of anything more, but certainly not anything less than the fact that I had a father who was a teacher and a hugely successful one at that. My mother, who was not very happy with my choice, tried to persuade me to change my choice, and my father told her, he wants to stay a teacher. Why do you want to determine his profession? And my mother had the wisdom to agree. I'm a product of a family environment where personal choices were respected. And I think leadership is a matter of personal choice. Nobody can be a leader in everything, but everyone can be a leader in something. And there one has to choose where one's sources of satisfaction lie. I hope you find my inputs of some use.
Yes, sir. Gratitude. Thank you very much.
Devendra Chavanji.
Hi, good morning, sir. Thank you for taking us through this very interesting topic. Just one, I think, piece of advice, maybe tips that we would like to have from your side is one of the key challenges within today's time is the adulation versus authenticity, which really puts up into a situation that leaders often face excessive praise which can really take them to a different space. Really, the pressure to maintain a flawless image may hinder vulnerability and authenticity. So how does one really navigate in a situation like this?
If you notice the promotional announcement which Atulji made, talked of not just the successes but also the failures of leadership. We must realize what I began with, and I began with Tulsidas. Dhara ko praman yahi tulsi je phara se jhara je bara se botani, and I had translated that then, that whatever has flowered has wilted, and whatever has blossomed has also fallen to the ground. You must understand the timeliness of a leader. There is a time to come. There are several obligations I owe to my seniors, my colleagues, and even my juniors. And one of them was Prakash Tandon, who had a rare record of having headed 5 different institutions of 5 different tenures, from multinational organizations to public sector organizations to academic institutions to economic research institutions, to you name it. There isn't another career like that I know in India. He used to get along very generously with people whom he had some feelings for. And we spent a lot of very pleasant evenings together, duly lubricated by his 2 pegs of gin. And he said, Vinay, please remember, there is a time to come and there is a time to go. Go while people are still asking why, not why not. Sense of timing is central to leadership. You can blossom only in your time. I'm grateful to have had a career like the ones which I have had, but I owe it to generations of people who have accepted to relate to me. If I am a leader, and sometimes I feel like one, sometimes I don't feel like one, it is not because I have such qualities. It is because others have reached out to me as you are reaching out to me for my thoughts. You become a leader because the people accept you as such, not because you can field the forces, you can command the resources, and you sit on a chair whose back is higher than your head.
Right, sir. Final question of this round, we have hands up. Actually, was also the
Sir, may I speak, sir? May I speak, sir?
Okay, sir. Last question now. Then we'll have questions after the second round of the talk. Yeah, doctor.
Sir.
Yeah, Dr. Narendra.
Pranam, sir. Pranam, sir.
Pranam.
So, sir, you remember I used to sit you in a class for MBA class in 1980s. So the leadership style which you taught me on those days, or other management styles, and the amount of technological advancement from IT revolution to AI today. So the leadership style, any visible changes needed today's situation, what we saw in 80s, 90s, or 70s, like that?
I was hoping nobody would ask me that question. But I have a life experience that my fondest hope have often been denied by the expectations being challenged. And here I am answering the question which I was dreading.
Okay.
I've been asking that question, Narendran Saab, myself over at least a couple of years now. The dread is what can't be answered by human intelligence.
Right, right.
All times in history are critical times.
Right.
It is just that we mistake our times as the most important one.
Right.
I'm now told that artificial intelligence is a huge revolution. It probably is. Who am I to question? I'm told that the nature of learning has changed. It probably has. But have you bothered to ask yourself what a revolutionary change it was in the mental thought process of the Homo sapien when the zero was discovered?
Yes.
Have you ever bothered to ask how the discovery of a zero altered the entire nature of computation for all times to come? We have accepted zero as a part of our life.
Right, right.
So it is, I've been a serious student of history. I have a postgraduate in history, something which has worked for me and has been used as a bait and stick to tell me he's a historian, as if, I had committed a crime. It is only because I was a historian that I'm able to say that all ages are dotted with seminal changes. The seminal change through which we live appears more material because it affects us. The coming of artificial intelligence is certainly a revolution. But to my personal judgment, it is not a bigger revolution than the discovering of the zero.
Okay, sir.
The real challenge of leadership is learning to cope with changes which we cannot grasp. Take our personal lives. Most of us have problems with years of marriage. When you couldn't live without somebody within few months of the marriage, you can't live with that person for even a few months after several years of marriage. Mercifully, all marriages don't go through that cycle. But we also know that some marriages go through that cycle. That woman hasn't changed, that man hasn't changed. What has changed is the nature of the relationship.
Right, right.
What we get confused is in managing change, leadership is required more than anywhere else. Unless you keep growing yourself, how do you become a leader?
Right, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
The
Thank you,
last
thank you,
question
sir.
of this round, Mr. Arvind Kumar from Delhi.
Hello, sir. I have one question related to leadership. You said that leadership is often seen as a passing phenomenon, which can be, shaped by time, context, or circumstances. Then my question is, what truly differentiates leaders whose influence fades with their position from those whose impact endures across generations? Because when we see leadership as a position-based or role-based, it can change. But when we see leadership as a value-based, it actually endures, and it actually travels through generations and generations, like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi. So I want to have your views on it.
I think you have answered your question. And that is the beauty of good questions. Certain things change, certain things do not change. And personally, I have a problem in idolizing anyone as a classical example of leadership, because once you read Gandhi's Truth, and he provides evidence of the contradictions he survived. You look at Nelson Mandela's career, tall as he was, visionary as he was, put together a lot of contradictions in his life to work with people whom he had fought. Therefore, the only constant feature in leadership is the goal, not the process. And the goal is forever to keep improving, to realize your best self, and to make sure you are heard. People want to be heard without deserving to be heard. Think about that.
Right, so I think you could continue with the next round of your talk before we come to the final round of questions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Atul. What I wanted us to understand is the dynamic nature of leadership. And I would hasten to add to say the dynamic nature of leadership does not take away from the foundations of leadership. I did my school level examination from Cambridge University. Therefore, I have a senior Cambridge certificate. And one of the courses which I got examined on was Bible studies. Incidentally, I might hasten to add that my doing Bible studies had nothing to do with anything other than a subject matter of study. The Bible studies was taught to me by an exceptional teacher who saw no contradiction in the classical statements of the 10 commandments, which were supposed to be etched on stone, handed over to Moses on the mountain, and the foundations of all religions. No religion teaches you how to lie. No religion says if you say one thing and do another, it's a great intellectual achievement. And I could give you many examples, and you could search for them on your own. There are certain classical truths. And this question used to bother me. How can you then disagree between one religion and another if there are classical truths? Why don't you all and we all become parts of the same religion? And if we are not parts of the same religion because of our belief or lack of belief, how is it that certain truths are common? Where do these truths come to fruition from? And my father, Jesuit priest, gave me a brilliant answer, which was not necessarily a Christian answer. But he said, there is a sense of judgment in everyone. There is a sense of judgment with which we are born. And to give an example, he said, in no part of the world, in no tribe, in no segment, in no population, is killing another human being ever approved. So where do these common principles come from? The Homo sapien is a product of evolution, of a cognitive system, because not only the Homo sapien can think, the many other animals also think. Only the thinking of the Homo sapien is of a particularly evolved order. So there is a process through which it goes. And I think leadership is a recognition of this universality of the process while living with the differences between one segment and another, and one way of doing something or another, which leads us to something which brings war to our doorsteps, sometimes within our households, conflict between tribes, conflict between people, conflict between economies, conflict between visions. And it is an inability to transcend the differences between the classical principles and the passing principles, which is, to my mind, the next stage of leadership which we need to look into. We need to understand that the more boundaries we build, the bigger problems we walk into. So our attempt should be in building bridges rather than emphasizing our uniqueness, because unique we all are by the virtue of the fact that we are Homo sapiens. Ultimately, it is the compatibility of different traits which makes people work together. How come an institution like IFTDO survives 50 years plus? And I don't want to gloat over the debacle of many other institutions with a lesser frame of mind. It is because it is flexible, it is accommodating, it is capable of growing with the times. How is it that ISTD, amongst the chain of human resources organizations in India, and now in certain cases even beyond India, is capable of surviving these years? We have rewritten our constitution 3 times. I piloted the first revision of the constitution for those who are inclined to doubt claims, and please do doubt claims because it helps to verify claims. The first constitutional amendment was passed under my chairmanship as the president of ISTD, and that document has been revised twice since. And it only proves ISTD's ability to keep growing with the times. It is not the same ISTD as it was born over 50 years ago. Growth with wisdom is the essence, and the leadership which captures it is the leadership which survives Do it my way or the highway is the road to disaster. Let's begin by realizing we can be wrong. We need to learn. Maybe the other person has something which we need to imitate to be a little more like him and a little less emphatic like ourselves. That is the parting thought. It is by no means the conclusion of my talk, because these kind of iterations, I lived through several of them. I survive on the iterations, which is why I encouraged midterm conversation in what I was saying for now. I'll pause here for a final round of discussions, because my president did tell me an hour is an hour is an hour, and he doesn't believe in any indiscipline, and he has even made sure certain other things are done the way he thinks it should be done, and that's what leadership is about. Over to you, Atul Shah ji. If there are any questions, remarks, advice that I would need to listen to, please lead the way. I like my own takeaway from this iteration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before we have the raised question, there's one
only
question.
one remark is there. Can I speak?
Yeah, Dwivedi Saab, a respected member from the Bhopal chapter.
Sir,
Yeah,
sir, much more regards to you, sir. I am Ram Girish Dwivedi from Bhopal. I am reminded of your poem which you told, Tulsi Dhara Ka Praman Yahi. My father was a teacher and he recited me in my childhood. So I just want to recite 4 lines. It will be, I think, add this. Dhara ka praman yahi tulasi jo faraso jhara jo baraso butana बलि विक्रम धेनु दधीच गए और उपार्थ गए जिन भारत ठाना बाली गए बलराम गए जिन कखरी दस शीस समाना गए दुर्योधन जंग जुरे जिन 64 का छत्र बिताना धरा का प्रमाण यही तुलसी जो फरा सो धरा जो बरा सो बुताना। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, आपने ये पोएम मुझे याद करा दिया, याद दिला दिया। थैंक यू वेरी मच। देयर आर वेरी फ्यू पीपल हु रिमेंबर सच पोएम्स, यू आर वन ऑफ देम। My great regards to you. You remembered Abhigyan Sakuntalam also. I could understand why Sakuntala Naam was given to Sakunt. So thank you very much, sir. My regards to you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dwivedi sir. He's been one of our spiritual gurus. Sir, there's been one question on the chat box before we go to the raised question from Mr. Indrish Chandra. Very simple question. Why do leaders fail?
Because of overreach. If they would not bite more than they chew, they would be able to digest what they have chewn.
Very interesting.
Proportion is not such an ugly word. And it is so difficult to remember proportion, especially when you are moving from one success to another.
Very interesting. Yes, thank you, sir. Mr. Saurabh Sinha, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Dr. Gautam and the entire ISTD team, IFTDO team. I was just taking notes because generally I do that. And you said that leadership is a statement of attributes that is felt, not imposed. Now, as you said, you have a lot of interest in history and you have seen so much, you have read so much about it. Then why do we have these examples of leaders trying to impose themselves on their team or even in the society or the environment or whatever? I'm not talking only of political leaders, I'm talking of organizational leaders.
The catastrophe of looking at the mirror and keeping admiring yourself and never leaving the mirror till the mirror says you are the best. Stop looking at the mirror for self-admiration. Start looking at the mirror for what you are. You know that your question will have no complete answers.
I know,
to
sir.
To balk the question would have been to say that I don't want to take the conversation forward. Saurabh Saab, you are far too wise for me to say that silence is the answer to your questions. I would never do that to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You can see Mr.
More than
Pickett
what I
having a nice
expected.
smile on his face as he replied to that. Mr. Ayan Mukher Banerjee and then Mr. Sinha. Yeah, Mr. Banerjee.
Yeah. Good afternoon and thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation. It really inspired me. Now, as a coach and trainer, I'm also in love with the frameworks and theories on leadership. Having said this, sir, 200,000 years of human civilization, the kind of leadership that was provided by Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, Timur the Lane, is probably not acceptable today, okay, in spite of all the frameworks and theories. But sir, we have another 2 billion years in the planet before the sun burns us out. So do you feel that we have even moved an inch as far as leadership journey is concerned? Given the current kind of disasters across the world, don't you feel that leadership is overhyped in human civilization? Thank you.
Leadership is overhyped. Fact or myth, sir?
I'm flattered by this question because this question is one of the classical questions which have been repeatedly asked of people, notably two authors who have large influence over my mind. One is Bertrand Russell, the other is C.M. Joad. And C.M. Joad has a classical answer to this classical question. He wrote a drama of medieval history, and he twisted a few facts. So somebody asked Mr. Joad, what do you think the historian will say? And his answer was, the historian will lie as usual. The answers to those many questions are very often in our own experience. We cannot answer questions for others' experiences. Our experiences is unique, just as I was referring, your marriage is unique, your education is unique, your vision of life is unique. Recognize it, live it fully, and enjoy it.
Thank you. Last two questions before we have a nice group family photograph, a leadership team. Everybody over here, like Dr. Gautam said, are very fine leaders. So we have a leadership photograph at the end of it. Mr. Praveen Sinhaji.
Yes, good morning, sir. My question is the Trump and Putin Alaska meeting, which reminds us that leaders often face conflicting agendas under global scrutiny. From the leadership perspective, how can effective leaders hold firm on their core values while still finding room for compromise?
So at the end of this question, our tariff rate should not increase from 50%.
How?
I have a lurking suspicion, Praveenji, that you know the answers, but you want to draw me out, and which I'll be happy to be drawn out.
Sure.
Leadership situations are very often situational compulsions.
Mm-hmm.
In 1848, Napoleon III, after losing the battle, said, had I been born 2 generations earlier, I could have created a new world. If I had been born 10 years earlier, I could have helped to reconstruct the new world. Today, I have to spend time propping up old structures which I know will not live, because that is the time in which we are born. That is how time determines our choices.
Final question, Dr.
Yes, thank you.
Ahuja. You're muted, sir. Please unmute. Dr. Ahuja, you got to unmute and speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
My compliments to Professor Gautam for such a wonderful lecture. I'm used to hearing him for the last 30 years. At the IMR, at the ISTD, now at the IFTDO. My question relates to what he said, learning to cope with changes. Now, the question that I have is, what I find at a global level, the span of lives is increasing like anything. The percentage of people living beyond 60 is very high, and the percentage of women living beyond 60 and 80 is getting very high and very high. How would you suggest the change in leadership at a global level to cope up with the changes in the figures that I have mentioned?
As you can imagine, Ahuja Sahab, after exchanging your compliments about seeing me and the reverse, these sessions at least help some of us to get together whom we would have wanted to see so often, and we haven't been able to. Good to see you. Having said that, I'm trying to answer that question myself. And currently my wife and I are under a discussion on how much of the old pattern of life I continue with and how much of a new pattern I'll push myself over with. I hope we'll work out a compromise. When I get to the answers, I'll write to you a personal note and tell you how we resolve it to ourselves. But until I do it, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any one last question, anybody?
Sir, can I speak?
Yes, please, Anup Kumar ji from Dehradun, our chairperson.
Sir, good afternoon to everybody and pradam to Gautam sir. Sir, I would like to listen something about the leadership in Gen Z.
Leadership in?
Generation Z.
Generation Z.
God reminds me of a lecture which I was asked to deliver by my boys in Bombay just 35 years ago, and the questions were the same.
Oh.
The answer is simple in one sentence. The younger generation believes it is right. The older generation knows that they are wrong. Their ability to work it out is the way forward.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I've read somewhere that forward-thinking organizations are implementing reverse mentoring program, and they are interacting with the Generation Z.
I don't believe in this beyond a point, for the simple reason that I'm not willing to say that putting my train in reverse gear is going to be the way forward. The contexts have changed, the abilities have changed, the values have changed.
Correct.
The temperaments have changed. And if the older generation is sacrosanct, so is the younger generation. The two must learn to respect each other. It is this element which I think needs strengthening.
Thank you very much, sir. Last
Atul,
question.
can I just, Atul, not question, Atul. This
Yeah,
is
wait,
Roy from
this
Singapore.
is Mr. Roy Lai, a very good friend from Singapore.
Just very quick one, yeah, 10 seconds. I just want to say
we've
hello
got
to
your video
everybody from
on,
India.
Mr. Roy. If you can put your video on,
Oh
we'd
my
like to see
goodness,
you.
I'm sexy. I'm too sexy because I'm not wearing proper dress. You know.
Okay.
Now I just want to say, Dr. Gautam, number one, I'm here. And number two, hi everybody from India. I think we've got a few people from all over the world here with you. That's what I want to say.
Mr. Roy, apart from everything else, he just mentioned that he's
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, one last
Just
question, and
only
then
one
we have a
point
group photograph. Everybody's videos on. Then our National Vice President, Mr. Atul Sharma, will give the final vote of thanks. Yes.
Sir, I have a point. Subhash Chandan.
Mr. Subhash Chandan, yes, quick.
Anything about compassionate leadership? Any views point from the
Compassionate
speaker?
leadership, empathy is the
In short, I want to understand because I believe in that, but I don't find many supporters.
Done, sir. The concept of a ruthless leader is something which is very popular. So compassionate leaders, is there space for them in today's world? Sir.
You have said, Atul, what is to be said. I see no reason why I should attempt to paraphrase it.
There is scope, sir, but do you think?
Sorry?
There is scope for compassionate leaders to succeed in today's, say, the corporate world?
That's the only way forward. Compassion doesn't mean melting your position. Compassion means melting the communication channels to understand what the other person is saying. We want to win without understanding.
Very true. Very nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Everybody, please put on your videos, and just a few names like we normally do. We thank Mr. Gurvinder for attending this, Madam Tina, Mr. Alok Ghoshal from Jamshedpur, Mr. Anand Giri from Patna, Mr. Anthony, Mr. Anup Kumar from Dehradun, Mr. Arvind Kumar from Delhi. A few names. I mean, I would miss out quite a few. I'm sorry. Mr. Ashok Deshpande from Nashik, Mr. Atul Sharma, National Vice from Mr. Abhiraj Joshi from Dehradun, the editor of IFTDO, Mr. Yan Banerjee, Mr. Prabhat Kumar from Silvassa, Colonel Malik, Mr. Daniel Pacheco, Dr. Ashok Dash from Balasore, Dr. Mukul Jain, Dr. Narendran, Dr. Raman Ballabh, Dr. Yogesh Upadhyaya, PNP, Dr. Gunmala Suri, Dr. Manish Sitpuria, Mr. Ilango, Dr. Yudi Ahuja, Mr. Hemendra Wadhwa, Dr. Helmi, very nice to have you here. Janet, one of our closest friends of India, Ms. Janet from Nigeria. Thank you, madam, for joining. Mr. Jaiprakash Bagre, Ms. Jocelyn Lobo, Mr. Joseph Silvera, the ex-chief engineer, Ms. K.S. Rao, Krupa Barot, Ms. Les Piquet. I hope I got the pronunciation right. Is S silent, Mr. Le? You're Australian, so I think S may be pronounced. Okay. Mr. Murgudi, Dr. Srinivas Rao from Hyderabad, Dr. Manohar from Bangalore, Mr. Mrunal Burman, Dr. Padmita Rautre, Madam Patti Phillip, of course, Mr. Ponnappa, Mr. Pramod Sahu, Mr. Praveen Sinha. We have Mr. Prerak Desai from Vadodara, Dr. Nilesh Narayan from Patna, Professor Biswas, Professor Sudhir Jain, who just mentioned on the fellows group. There's an exciting talk going on. Mr. R.G. Dwivedi, Mr. Rahul Bose, Mr. Ramesh Singh, Mr. Dr. Rashmi Hebalkar, Dr. Ravi Baliskar from Pune, Mr. Roy Lai from Singapore, Mr. Sambasiva Rao, our past MVP, Mr. Sanjay Panjikar, Mr. Sucharita Das from Delhi, Mr. Surendra Gedam, Mr. Mohammad Talaji, Mr. Unikrishnan Nair, Madam Usha Jain from Delhi, Mr. Mukesh Jain, Dr. Wafa, of course, from Lebanon, Mr. Avayan Kaushal, one of our respected leaders, Mr. Anshu Mukherjee, we also have Mr. Sandeep Parekh, Mr. Rajiv Kurulka, Mr. Vanam Goyce, and many, many more. Final words. Mr. Gurvinder, have you got a photograph? One.
Yes, sir.
Can we have a photograph with a thumbs up?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Gurvinder, the photographs.
Done, sir.
Done. There is, in fact, positive, but then Dale Carnegie had this very interesting thing about the part of negative thinking. Over to our National Vice President for the final words, Mr. Atul Sharma.
Thank you very much,
There you go,
Atulji and Ms. Nivedita. Yeah. Am I
Yeah, we can
audible
hear you.
now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Thank
hear
you
you.
very much, Atulji and Madam Nivedita for setting up the stage. You know, it's not easy to stand in front of a tall leader like Dr. Vinayshil Gautam. And when leadership is being talked, so it's better for us to be quieter, sober, and understanding. Leadership is not a game. It's a process. It's an experience, just like Dr. Vinayshil Gautam said. And it is also sometimes the need of the hour. Nobody remembers the leaders always who were there in the past. What will happen in the future? It's all relative. It's all circumstantial. So the leadership which serves the purpose of that time is always respected and remembered for that period. And the leadership which serves for a greater, good of the people for a larger period of time is remembered for a longer time. So very nicely said, Dr. Gautam. I mean, you're of course a profound speaker and you bind the audience and everybody is, I saw the comments coming so nicely. We are thankful that you accepted our invitation to speak on a topic which, usually nobody wants to tread in, leadership, because it has highs and lows, policies can be there. And we all got, let's say, good insights on how one should approach leadership. It's been a nice morning spent, I hope, by all of you. My thanks to everybody who has joined internationally for this outreach program from US, from also Middle East, from Australia, and also from Asia. And thanks to all the my friends from India, my co-partners in ISTD. It's been a great time. I spent time well spent the last 1 hour. Very, very informative. Thank you for organizing the team from National Office also for such programs, as well as our president, Mr. Atul Shah. Let's keep on rocking. It's really pleasant. Everybody is happy, and let's keep that momentum on. And I saw the highest participation going above 150 and all, which is really great. Thank you. Have a nice day. Enjoy your weekend as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul Sharma ji. Madam Patti is, I think, 3 a.m. in the US, but she is still there, making sure that keeping our spirits buoyed up. Thank you very much, Madam. And to everybody here, one final word from any of our international delegates. Madam Wafa, are you there? Or Dr. Helmi? Or Mr. Pickett? Somebody
Yes.
Yeah, Janet,
Dr.
Madam Janet. Yes, yes. Come, please.
Yeah, good morning from UK.
Oh.
I just want to thank you for bringing up this topic and choosing the right person to deliver it. Dr. Gautam spoke from experience, which makes it more original. Listening to him, leadership is about everything, but you cannot do everything by yourself. We have to continue to be in the learning mode, and that will lead us to developing ourselves and making us relevant. Leadership is about what you do to others, not what you are able to acquire or do to yourself. So let's continue in this learning mode in everything we do. And I want to say thank you to the whole ISTD team and the leadership. And Dr. Gautam, thank you, sir. You have all my respect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Janet. All right, I think Mr. Pickett was about to unmute himself. So the actual final, there's a tiebreaker, no more final after this. The semi-final is over. Yeah. Mr. Pickett, you have to unmute, please. You have to unmute and speak. Oh, we can't hear you. You'll have to unmute. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, can't get some leaders have to be seen and experienced. They don't say it in words, they do it in actions.
I've got through. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'd just like to make a point. I've known Vinayshil for many, many years, and we enjoy confronting each other at major events, including IFTDO. And I think one thing I learned, I thought I was fairly knowledgeable. I thought I knew my subjects very well. But every time I walked away from talking to Vinayshil, I'd start to challenge. Do I really know and understand, particularly understand? Because he has a very happy knack of saying in a nice way, do you really know what you're talking about? Have you thought about this? And I think that's one of the major contributions he's made over many years, and I think has made many people think and improve. So well done. Thank you, ISTD, and thank you very much, Vinayshil. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Mayor Vicar. That's the final word. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Sunday. Live life. Don't just exist. Whatever you do, do it with passion or don't do it at all. Thank you.